Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame. This is number 155. What kind of men talk about women? What kind of men talk about women like this? Where we are going to be looking at a couple of, they're sort of like sketches by a pro-life YouTube channel called Live Action. And they're cringe, and just brace yourself is what I would say. So
yeah, so some people have complained that we only call out the left for its misandry, but you know, there is a portion of misandry that comes from the right with and usually it revolves around this expectation for men to take leadership when women do bad things without giving them any means to actually enforce and in fact shaming them if they do enforce any kind of standards on women. So that's not so when women do something bad, it's not women's fault, it's because men haven't led them properly. I think we've seen sort of some conservative attitudes towards the situation like that, so that's what we're sort of calling out today. Yeah, because I mean, I know that that there are, I guess, more conservative positions at Honey Badger Radio, but for me, everything comes down to, you know, the situation between men and women and the fact that men can't be blamed for everything, and that's what we've done so far on both sides of the aisle, and women can't be absolved of any kind of responsibility and having a functional and subsequently have a functional society from that. But let me do the things. So if you want to send a message at any point throughout the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And if you would like to support the show, because we are doing our monthly fundraiser, we just have 1 day left and about $1,875. So we have a fair ways to go with just 1 day left. Please go to feedthebadger.com/support to help us out there and make sure that we can continue to bring you this content, which I think is becoming increasingly important because, yeah, there's factors that we have not addressed, and we're starting to get to the point where they're becoming critical. And I think that everybody will be feeling the pain, not just the people who have already gotten through, you know, the pain of these issues years ago. So anyway, feedthebadger.com/support to support us out and make sure that we can continue to bring you this content. All right, let's get started.
All right, so we're going to be looking at, let's watch the first video. It's called What Kind of Men Talk About Women Like This?
Hey, man. Can I ask for your advice on something?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm taking this girl out, right? First date, you know, steak dinner, come back to my place, hoping to make it to at least third base. Know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, man.
That guy looks like Topher Grace. I'm just saying. I like this, like, all right, I like the guy from that 70s show. You know? It's weird. Like, it's not him, but it looks like him a bit. So, anyway.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love.
I just noticed you've done some styling with your mustache, some debonair twist at the edge.
No, not really. No, this is just the way it grows.
Is it her or is it Maybelline? It's his genetic.
Is he born with it? No, I didn't do anything. No. I actually meant to, but I don't know. I don't even know how to do that. Honestly,
your genetics just naturally go into the handlebar mustache.
Sort of. I mean, it hasn't quite grown out like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to say I thought it.
Yeah. No,
looks very fetching.
Thank you.
All right, but this just something about these two, and you realize that there's a lot of women who would judge a man who didn't attempt to try for something in the first date, right? Like that probably would consider him gay at this point. But
yeah, I think so. But okay, let's keep going.
Third base. You want to like find out her hopes and dreams for her future? Nice.
No, I just want her to take off
any mask that she puts on for people she doesn't feel she can fully trust. I get it. You want to like listen to her share her heart, get to know the real her.
No, so the reason I'm into this girl is because she's got a great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's finish this. Jonathan has gotten on my case, that's my husband, about not letting people finish their thoughts before we respond. Although we do have to be careful, probably, for the 20-second rule.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Great set of
Creative ambitions. Totally. I also find that super attractive. That's how I met my wife.
Yeah, see, that's it. It's that intellectual curiosity that is such a turn on.
Totally.
We totally get it, too.
Gary, Steve, check this out.
This okay. Just
yeah.
I have to stop now, Brian. I
It's okay.
just had to.
It just keeps going like this, where they mislead you. They make you think these guys are talking, about women in a sexual way, and that they're like talking about their bodies and what the things they would like to do with them. And then these guys sort of, it's a bait and switch. They end up talking about their virtues and like their values and these other things. They're super wholesome things instead. But go ahead. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
I just had to stop because I think something inside me was going to implode from cringing.
Yeah, it's cringe.
It's really freaking
I think
bad.
I mean, I don't want to speak to it just yet, but I think the people who make this video, who made this, they either live in a part of the country that is not like part of the sort of like, like the, I don't know,
The
like
hookup culture?
like they don't live in that world where like the like in cities, like in like the urban monoculture, as some people call it, or they are so like far away from the dating world, they have no idea what it's really like. And so they think that essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to suggest that men look for different qualities in women than like their, like than the surface level, like that they should like pick them for different reasons. And of course, well, I can get into what they miss, but we should probably watch the rest of it before I get into it. But this is just this is the joke, right? Like, well, I want to get to second base. Oh, you mean where you talk about your hopes and dreams with her? No, I mean like she's got a great set of what did he say? Like,
Principles?
The principles, yeah. Right.
A great set of commandments.
Now they're opening up like like a centerfold thing, and they're like, whoa, but you guys can guess it's probably not what you think it is. So or what you're supposed to expect.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better the further down you go.
Alston, your camera crashed.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just
Oh no, it's not. It's fixed now. I don't know what.
Well, it'll definitely have crashed.
No, it's crashed again.
No.
Or you did that.
Yeah, I did that deliberately. Just let me fix that. It looks like it just overheated for some reason. So,
is your camera trying to do two things at once? Like, is it in here and somewhere else? Because if it's
absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that dumb. It's only trying to do this. And honestly, Void Cat was not even here. Oh, there she is now, though. Maybe she did it psychically.
Yeah.
Let me get this back. All right. She was here in spirit, and then it all crashed. Let's keep going.
All right.
Nice work. This is a perfect 10 right there.
This is what I'm talking about.
How best to love my wife today. 10 reminders. Number 1, listen.
It's just words. How do we resolve
No,
conflict?
I should have.
Pay off credit card. Cleaning kitchen is foreplay. Make bed before she does. Protect her time. Be the man of her dreams in bed. Eliminate threats to her sense of security. I am a servant.
I should have played a game with everyone, because we should have just said, is this pro-life or feminist?
No, you make that sound like a choice. It's both. It's both. It's this idea. It's this idea that if you like are a servant to your wife, in complete service, she might not kill your kids. Like, I mean, that's like, I don't know what else to think, but it certainly isn't. I mean, it may be pro-life, but it's not conservative, in my opinion. Like this shit here. I mean, what is feminism? Except all of the stuff on this list: pay off her credit card, clean the kitchen is foreplay, make bed before she does, protect her time, eliminate threats to her sense of security. Like this is not at all leadership.
isn't a
It's not
relationship
even
between
leadership. It's not even a leadership. That's what I'm saying.
No,
These people are clueless about this. But go
yeah,
ahead.
they are clueless, but it's like there's no space in the relationship for him.
Well,
Like
yeah,
his
he doesn't
space
deserve
is
any
whatever
space.
her needs are. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a really bad position to negotiate from. It is no position to negotiate. Like where do you go from there except complete subjugation? Right. And this is, like I said, this is I'm sorry that I think these people would not regard themselves as feminists. They probably wouldn't say
well, sure. I mean, I got something I can show you a little bit later that will demonstrate that people who call themselves conservatives are still feminists. Like we've been saying this forever. Like the quote conservatives end quote of today are feminists from 20, 30 years ago. That means that they're basically the same. The only difference is that maybe they're just not as intersectional, but they still believe in all of the baseline narrative stuff. They're still embedded in modernity. So
I would say that it's speeding up. They're now the feminists from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, that's kind of how that's how normalization works. So
yeah, it just speeds up.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this may have even started in earnest and it just got infiltrated, because that, like, these people subvert everything. They subvert churches. They did that first. So naturally, like this kind of thing is like, it's like we're essentially seeing every aspect of our society contract this cancer, and it's in various different stages, and people are pointing at all the various patients of cancer and acting like they're different, like they're somehow different from each other when they all have the same sickness. They're just in different stages. So this group is obviously like hit with the feminism cancer, like it's just like stage 3 instead of stage 4. I mean, that's what I think anyway. But just based on, because I watched both. Well, I watched this video. I don't know if I watched the other one. I may have started the other one. But this one is all like under the. Well, should we finish it? Because I don't want to talk too much before we see the.
Yeah, let them finish their thought,
right.
Shall we say?
But with gentleness and humor, that's great. I mean, that's just wisdom right there.
I always look at this after a workout. Just a great reminder to be thinking of her needs instead of my own,
Right.
And when we work out, it's not just a chance to improve our bodies, but ourselves as husbands and fathers.
This is the weirdest locker room I've ever. Hey, man, how you doing? Can I ask you something?
Totally.
You're a stud. How many notches you got on your belt?
Like, seriously, guys don't talk about this stuff in locker rooms. That's another thing I don't get. Like, this feels like it was written by a woman. I mean, that's what I think. I think a woman wrote this, and he's, because men, they, like, if you talk to a stranger in a locker room, that's already weird. Like, guys don't do that. And they really, unless they know each other already, that is like, this is the weirdest. It would, even if it was the locker room talk that I guess we are supposed to expect, which is another reason why I'm pretty sure a woman wrote this script. Because women think men are just talking about, like, women's bodies in locker rooms. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of this came out of that, what you call it, that hot mic thing, that, the grab him by the pussy joke that Trump made to Billy Bush. And because remember, when that happened, there was some defense, and I'm not even sure if it's real, because a lot of times feminists construct these straw man defenses that men supposedly make and then tear those down. Like, what was she wearing? Like, that kind of thing. But there was talk that was like, locker room talk. And then, like, they ran with that. And now, like, all locker room talk is that kind of talk, even though that wasn't even locker room talk, because they were literally on, like, a tour bus of some kind when it happened, so, but, so, like, yeah, men don't do that. They don't talk about women like that in locker rooms or anywhere with dudes they don't know. Like, that just doesn't happen. Like, this is complete fantasy. And then they're taking the fantasy that doesn't exist and they're making an inversion of the fantasy. So this is like a twice removed fantasy. It's completely delusional. And we're supposed to watch this and take something from it when the premise itself makes no sense, because guys don't do that. Like, I don't talk about my wife with anybody like that. Like, like if anything, I talk to her like, like that, if anything. So it's just like, this is just like a complete fantasy.
It's nested,
but anyway,
nested delusions. Okay, let's keep going though.
Okay.
6.
Okay, nice.
4 girls, 2 boys.
What?
Yeah, my wife and I are crazy about these little munchkins.
No, the children are beautiful. That's not what I'm talking about. What is your body count?
Like, again, guys do not ask other guys how many women they've been with. Like, that just does not. Guys, tell me in the chat. Have you done that? That's just something we don't do. Maybe women do that with other women. I don't know. Maybe that's because that's, again, women. I think a woman wrote this. I'm almost positive a woman wrote this. Guys don't talk about their body count with other guys. Like, what? It's fucking weird, bro. Anyway.
Okay, so I know this sounds really strange, but I know the guy that's supposed to play the one that, like, the sort of quasi villain. I'm actually sort of sympathizing most with him in this somehow.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you weird pod people engaging?
But he's weird too, because he's like,
oh no, I know he's weird.
He's trying to have conversations with men that he doesn't know about extremely private things, and we're supposed to think that he's the normal one. It's like, no, they're all weird. Like, none of this is real.
At, but almost it's like there's these aliens, right? He's walked into this locker room full of aliens. Now he's himself, I could imagine him like being a really sort of crass, because there's some guys who are like that.
Well, I'm sure they want to write him that way. Like you said, he's supposed to be the guy we're not supposed to want to be like. But
there are some guys, like a Quagmire, that kind of type.
Giggity.
And there's some guys like that. I mean, at least in the fictional setting, so you can sort of relate to him. So he's like almost trying to make sense of this really bizarro world that we've walked into. Because, again, I know that they're trying to make a point, but it's almost like I can relate more to him than any other guy in this, just because they're so weird. All right, let's keep going.
Why didn't you just say so? I'd say about 10 to 15% body fat. Nothing crazy, but that's how my wife likes it, so.
Listen, I'm taking this girl out for the first time tonight. By the end of the night, I want to be in deep.
Love that. Deep conversation? Yes. None of that shallow small talk? Look, I used to be stoic and emotionless, but then I started to let my guard down. Not be afraid to be so awkward and vulnerable,
Allison, this is totally feminist shit, dude. I'm sorry. This is absolute feminist propaganda. I think that these people at Live Action just got taken for a ride by a woman who probably went in and said, I want to write sketches for you, and I'm going to write it from a pro-life perspective, and it's complete feminist propaganda. There's nothing about this that is in any way trad. I'm sorry. I know that's what you were going for. I know you wanted to punch right. You wanted to show people that you're balanced and fair, but this is not that. This is it's not even a straw man. It's completely alien. It's like from somewhere. This is a woman's idea of what she thinks a man should be doing in a locker room to counteract what she also believes men are trying to do in locker rooms. It's complete fabrication from Planet X, and we're supposed to act like this is in any way real. It isn't. Like, it's just not. This is absolute feminist shit. Sorry, but it is. It's like Hannah Cox, the libertarian feminist. She comes out and says, here is all my libertarian stuff. I believe in free markets and small government, blah, 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 blah. But then the truth comes out when men have opinions online. That's it. Just men having opinions. And she immediately turns and becomes like full big government, full censorship, cancel this fucking guy. And she just does it with the correct rhetoric. That's what this is. This is feminist propaganda, 100%. Live action, you guys are morons for falling for this, but you totally did. And the truth is, I just got to say this too. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make the case that men are the ones that choose virtuous women, when that is just not true, okay? Women go for what women want. Women hold all the cards, and they can't get that through their thick skulls. Like, nobody can understand this. Even feminists presume that, like, you know, guys like Andrew Tate are dangerous because other guys are going to follow their lead and they're going to just like use women and discard them, when the truth is only a very small percentage of men could even hope to do that. And most men don't have a chance of doing that, even if they wanted to. So like you're fretting over something that is just so incredibly unlikely. And that's what this is. It's like, oh, guys, just lead. It's like, it's fine. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. Like, women have been liberated, guys. We have to deal with that now. We have liberated them. That means they're going to be cunts, and we're supposed to be okay with it. That's basically what it is. Like, that's it. You know, they got degrees. They have high standards. They want this much money. They want men to be, you know, at this level. They have an overinflated sense of self-worth. You know, because because there are some simps that give them props online. It doesn't matter how heavy they are. It doesn't matter what their body count is, because none of those things you can judge. You can't judge their body count. You can't judge their tattoos, their piercings, like whatever it is that they've done. It's impossible. Therefore, all women are 10s, and men, they just have to like hope to God that they get chosen. And a lot of men, most men, well, not most, but a lot of men are saying, you know what, it's not worth it, and they're just walking away. And this isn't going to change that. Like, so like, well, we should finish the video because I can get into like why this exists. Because I saw this, I went to this YouTube channel. I watched a couple of their other videos because I wanted to see where they were coming from, like on the whole. And it is primarily a pro-life thing, but they make this like, they do have some videos that basically, you know, talk about how women ultimately decide whether or not to have abortions, but they operate under this premise that men tend to pressure women into it. And it's like, that may happen, but women ultimately make the choice, number one. Number two, and more importantly, women choose to get impregnated by men who are more likely to abandon them anyway. So why are women doing that? Why are they choosing to have babies with guys that are not fit?
Not have babies, actually.
Or to be in a position where they have to get an abortion. Because usually if they're getting an abortion, it's because they didn't want the baby. It's like 85% of the time women get abortions because they just feel like it, which means it's not because of some, health problem. It's not because of some kind of like, destitute situation that the baby is a danger to the mother. It's almost always just out of convenience. It's convenient. I'm going to do it. Right. And it's because we told them that this is okay. We can't pass judgment, and we can always just blame the man for not sticking around. But again, if she got pregnant by a guy who wasn't going to stick around and had no intention of sticking around, and a lot of times women will do that to entrap men. They'll get themselves pregnant and then say, now you have to stick around. And the guy will either leave or pressure her into getting an abortion. But you can say that guy is shitty for doing that. And yeah, sure. But she chose to have sex with him. So what do you tell her? Like, how will she act going forward? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Let's finish this off, because I think that there is something that makes the right vulnerable to this narrative. And that is the whole idea that men lead and women are essentially accountability is deflected back onto men for not leading. Even though
I know, I've seen that.
There's no social pressure on women to submit or to trust men's leadership. So it's like that you put men in a catch-22. They have all the authority, none of the all the responsibility, none of the actual authority to enact what needs to be enacted, or what they're being blamed for, to end whatever it is, that the negative thing that is the point of contention. All right, let's just finish this because I would like to get to the second one.
All right.
Let her grab me by the passions.
Grab you by the...
Hey guys, can we huddle up here for a second? Help me out here. How can we level up for the women in our lives? You know, like put them first, support their needs.
Right, like support them in all of who they are. She's my wife, she's the mother of my children, I die for her. She's also got this amazing entrepreneurial spirit that's just exciting, you know, it's inspiring.
Allison, come on, dude. This is not trad. Entrepreneurial spirit. They're basically like living for their women. This is just...
How the fuck? Okay, so then they've infiltrated a pro-choice or pro-life organization.
Well, they did. I mean, I think that they're just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. But let me ask you this, okay? Let's say you're a man. Let's say you're like an Andrew Tate guy. You're like a top 1%. Alpha fucks guy, right? You could do whatever you want to women. You could use them. You can leave them stranded at the bus stop in the rain after you've had your way with them. You can go in raw, not call back, whatever. Do you think this ad is going to affect that guy? Like
No.
if he can just have women whenever he wants and he uses them for sexual pleasure only, do you think that this ad is going to have an effect on him? Especially if he continues to just have sexual success with women? Then who is this for? Because like a regular guy doesn't think this way. Like this would have to impugn a great deal of malice on the average man that is just looking for the average woman so that he can get married and start a family, which I think is completely noble to do. But this ad doesn't have a target audience except the woman who wrote it. That's the only person this is for. This is for other women to pat themselves in the back, because that same alpha fucks guy that I brought up in my example, that's just like, I'm just going to run through all kinds of hoes. I have like everything that they like, everything that makes their nethers tingle, because that's ultimately what they respond to sexually. And I'm not going to stick around. I'm going to use them. And that's it. And there's very few men that can do that. Very few. Even other men who admire that, they generally don't have a hope of being like that. So it's just an empty thing that you're investing in and nothing to be concerned over if you're somebody that like thinks that this is like, something that men need. But like, even if that were true, that you could do that, those women are not going to learn from this because you're not saying anything to them. You're not showing them like, what is it?
Yeah, we can get to that. I think the next one actually encapsulates that a lot better. Okay, so let's finish this off.
All right.
Hiring for me to see. So how can I make sure she's got time alone with just me, but also time with her friends, time to kind of reinvigorate and inspire her,
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest locker room I've ever been in. And I'm just looking for some quality advice on how I can bang this chick.
So you're already thinking about marriage and kids. That's awesome, man.
Yes!
Woo! What kind of men are you? Why are you talking about women like this?
Pro-life men. See, this is just trying to manipulate men. It's cringe as fuck, man. I'm sorry.
I would imagine that pro-life men are pretty much defined by, or maybe this is an attempt to manipulate pro-life men into some sort of position, but I would imagine they're mostly defined by the fact that they consider that the fetus is a life and that abortion is ending a life and that is unethical, as opposed to all of this other crap. And that women shouldn't necessarily have the option to do that. Although I think most pro-life men do consider it to be acceptable under certain circumstances or with a limit. It is actually women who have the most that abortion is wrong in every single circumstance. So
women are generally more pro-life than men.
Yeah, generally.
Men have been told they're not allowed in it. Well, yeah, but men have been told that they're not allowed to have an opinion on it regardless. So
yeah, but it doesn't matter like what if men are pro-life or pro-choice, because they're not the ones making the decisions. They're just ones apparently being blamed for it, although I'm not exactly sure. I guess they're trying to capture the concept, the ethical concept of when life begins, and say if you're a man who thinks that it begins at conception or at 6 weeks or whatever, at the heartbeat, then you should act like this towards women. Or alternatively, what I was thinking is maybe they're making the framework, creating a framework in which they are blaming men, or they're establishing how we blame men for something that is solely driven by women. I mean, this is definitely some ideological capture going on here, and I'm not I don't think that this will reduce the rate of abortions. I just don't.
Obviously not. By
It's
the
not
way,
gonna
we
do
got
anything like
a super chow earlier today before the
Okay.
show from Pepito, who gives us $25 and just says thanks for the shows. I don't know if that was thank you, Pepito. I can't put it on the screen. I don't know if that was like meant to be something else, like maybe he was supposed to put it in the fundraiser, but I just
Mhm.
thought I would read it out really quick while I was there. So
Yeah, the commercial is deeply gay. All right, so the other thing I wanted to look at.
it's definitely feminine. It's definitely feminine, but go ahead.
Yeah, there was like some interesting comments too, but that was on the
In
second
this?
one.
Oh, it's on
Yeah,
the second
no,
one.
actually the second one. But before
Okay.
we get into it, I just want to remind everyone we are doing our monthly fundraiser, feedthebadger.com/just-the-tip. No, feedthebadger.com/support. And please, I mean, if you have a moment, go and just put $5 in. Just let's get this started, because we have a ways to go and very little time to get there, and it's sort of making me a little nervous. So feedthebadger.com/support. Help out so we can continue to bring you this content each month. And I will continue to ask until at least one of you just feedthebadger.com/support. $5, please. Someone go there and do it. Take the weight off of my mind. Yeah, let's go to the second one, and I'll try to find those comments that I found earlier that I thought were really telling.
All right, here we go. Second one. It's also a sketch. I don't know if I watched this one, but let's give it a play.
This is a historic moment.
Abortion rights are under attack in America.
And it's important for all of us to raise our voices. Because abortion rights.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one's worse. But okay, all right. I think you guys let me see before we get to this.
Oh, you know what I think
before
this
we get
is?
to this, before we get
You
to
know what I
this.
think this is? I think they're
What?
using gynocentrism to sell being pro-choice to women by saying that it's pro-life to women. Pro-life men are the ones who respect women.
Yes, they're using
you want-
gynocentrism.
Yes, that's literally what they're doing. They're saying to
Yes.
women, pro-life men are the ones who respect women. So if you want to be respect as a woman, you must go pro-life.
Yeah, and that men who are pro-life respect women better than men who are pro-choice. But it comes down to the same thing. Yes, it's gynocentrism. And look, I'm one of the people who got in big trouble for saying that term gets overused, but it completely applies here. And again, gynocentrism is not trad. Like, I know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, most people are not living, because there was I don't know if you saw this, Allison, but there was a recent video that really drives this home that Paul Elam did with a guy named This Is Shah, and they talked about how basically, like, historically, women have always had to bring something to the table, and that after a while they were like, like finances, like they had to save money, like they had to learn skills, like there was something. Because remember, and I've been saying this for a while too, people talk about dating like it's the way that we've gotten together for all of time, but actually dating is a very, very, very recent phenomenon when you look at the overall history of humanity. And for the longest time, when a woman and a man met, it was basically because their families knew each other, and there was also a discussion about, like, how much money do you have saved up, how much, like, what do you have, how can we, like, bring our resources together. So it's not just, oh, the act of me marrying you is like, that is like, that's your reward, that I am the table, right? And there were even articles written at, like, in the 1800s that were like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So like this isn't like a new thing where people are realizing this. So, but like we have forgotten the history of marriage, family, lineage, and courtship for so long that now we only think that there has been dating, and then after, if we keep on this trajectory, there will only be memory of dating apps because people will think that's how we've always gotten together, right? So this kind of stuff is the effect of men just respect women. That's what they give you in return, is their presence, and maybe you'll get to have some babies. And if you do, you should treat it as a gift, which is why you should be pro-life. So for men, it's not even like, you know, a benefit of or whatever, right? It's crazy. But anyway,
I think
sorry,
it's telling
Allison,
it to women. This has nothing to do with men. In fact, I don't even know if it was
Yes.
meant to be viewed by men. It's literally to be viewed
Well-
by pro-choice feminist women who want to be respected. And they're saying, well, this is how you embrace this philosophy and you will be respected as a woman. I think that's literally what they're doing. This wasn't even intended to sell anything to men. It's to sell a position to women. It has nothing to do with men. But
Well-
I actually wanted to build on your point there about traditionalism. You're absolutely right. Traditionalism wasn't a free-for-all for women. Like it had, I think it's almost weird that we have to say this, but there were expectations in any culture that achieved any level, like significant level of organization or development. Expectations were placed on women not to engage in very immoral behaviors that disrupted the status quo. Now, different cultures did this differently. The Confucians have a very strong hierarchy. I think the Hindus also have a strong hierarchy. There's an expectation of obeying your husband in both cultures. And in the West, it was a little bit more almost philosophical, because the force to control women's behavior became internal. So it was about, you know, heaven and hell and judgment and self-judgment.
There was a lot of like the Hellenic, like the Greek philosophy mixed into it. Looked sort of like merged, like Rome and Greek philosophy merged with Christian philosophy. So just saying, some Aristotelian stuff in there too. So
yeah, exactly. So but there's a lot of almost like that kind of internal moral compass with Christianity. But that's everywhere. There's the expectation that women uphold the cultural group, put the cultural group ahead of themselves. And that includes the family group and the community. And this is what happens when women decide not to uphold their part of the social bargain, the social contract. And ironically, you know, they've essentially doomed the one society that said, hey, we'll give you freedom. And then they turn around and say, well, we're going to abort you to death. We're going to abort this culture, which is the one culture that gave so-called rights to women. I'm like, as a person, even if you were a person like who wanted to retain women, a culture that prioritized women's rights as like a cultural good, wouldn't you want to invest in that culture, continue it, make sure it survives? Like, why would you be so like, why would you get your rights and then immediately, okay, I'm going to use these rights to destroy the very system that got me those rights? I mean, isn't that sort of short-sighted? Like, if you were genuinely wanting to preserve those rights, wouldn't you want to figure out how to make sure that this particular society perpetuates itself instead of ending it, instead of terminating it? Oh, I got my rights. No other woman ever in the history of humanity going forward will have hers because I got mine, and now I'm going to terminate everything. Like, okay, I guess we now are seeing in real time why societies that gave women their rights disappeared, or the quote unquote rights.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
So yes, you're basically, we're on the same page. This ad is written by a woman for women, and it just has men in it. Like, that's it. Yeah. That's it. So, okay, let's keep going.
Because abortion rights are pro-choice men's rights.
I deserve to be free from any
What?
responsibility for some girl I get
Well,
pregnant.
you didn't know that was coming. Oh, I forgot. I got a super chat before you rant. Telemnar gives us $20 and says, "Thank you, Telemnar. Sorry for missing the movie viewing last night, Allison. Sent a few bucks to the fund by way of apology. Also, hello, Brian. Thanks for helping with our story-related podcast on adolescence the other day. It's on Allison's personal YouTube channel for those that are curious and worth a listen. Excelsior." Thank you, Telemnar, for that. Okay.
Oh yeah. So Telemnar put in $100 to the fundraiser as well. Thank you, Telemnar. Yeah, it was a lot of fun discussing adolescence with you and the rest of the writers retreat people. And if you're interested in joining our discussions of fiction, then go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe, and you'll get that access of the that part of the patron Discord. And if you just want to have a listen to what we're doing, you can just go to Gender Attic, and we have a couple of our most recent up there. And I also want to give a thank you to, because this is just really quick. Oh, okay. The Great Indoors just put in $500. Thank you, Great Indoors.
Whoa, thank you, Great Indoors. Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Great Indoors. Yeah, this is we're moving. We're making movement here. Making movement. That was horrible sounding. We are moving forward.
Yeah. So right. So again, if you need more evidence that this is an ad written by a woman for women, may even be a feminist. Like, I mean, when to say that, pro-choice. Well, so there is the men's issues advocates argument that, if women are pro-choice, then men should be able to be pro-choice in order to abstain from, essentially paying for child support and stuff like that. And I think the purpose of making that argument is mostly semantic, because obviously MRAs couldn't actually get that done because no government would ever do it or act on it. But it is supposed to start a kind of thought experiment of, well, wait a minute, if we did that for men, then what would be the result? Would women continue to have babies? Because like when a woman gets pregnant by a man, and Cassie J covered this in her documentary, The Red Pill, but we've talked about it on the show. Basically, every step of the journey from the moment even before she has sex with the guy until the birth or abortion of the baby is a woman's choice. She has complete control for the entire, like all 17 different forms of birth control, adoption, safe haven abandonment, and all that, and abortion, right? All of those things. Men, they're basically just at the whim of the woman. Like, whatever you decide, I'm just gonna have to deal with. So if the man wants a child and she doesn't, guess what? If the man would not want a child and she does, or if the man took precautions and she got herself pregnant anyway by sperm jacking him, guess what? He's now on the hook for child support. And there have been cases of men who have been raped by women that have later on gone on to make them pay child support. So this is an important thing to bring up to start a conversation around that. But what I think this is about is that what is likely is and I'm going to just say this is a feminist woman that likely wrote this, or at least someone with feminist beliefs that heard that argument from somewhere on the internet, that there were guys saying, well, men should be able to abstain or abort, financial abortion, I think, should be eligible for financial abortion. And they were like, you can't do that. I can't believe you have to take responsibility. So they make this ad to make that argument and sound as absurd as possible, so that the people who watch that will be like, oh, that's so funny. Can you imagine a guy not wanting to take responsibility? Meanwhile, Mr. Alpha Fucks and Alpha Fucks guy, he'll do this and he won't pay for shit. And the women will just deal with it because they wanted to fuck him. So this, again, this is completely not living in the realm of reality, because the guy that women want to have sex with, that does not want to have any children, doesn't want to be responsible for them, he's the guy that's going to either not pay child support, and there's plenty of dudes that choose not to because they just don't want to take responsibility, or they will pressure them into getting an abortion. And it'll be those kind of men that those women will continue to reward anyway, because they don't think that the moment, the pleasure in the moment is more important than, like, you know, whatever the consequences are. And of course, we all know that, you know, the women will, a lot of women will do everything in their power to avoid any kind of accountability, and they'll find ways to men. And that's what this ad ultimately does, is it just blames men again. So
yep. Yeah, it blames men for something they don't even have any control over. And we don't even have to go to like a paper abortion for men. Why don't we just make it so that men who are raped don't have to pay child support? Like, we could just do that, because right now
that would be a start.
Right now on the books, if a man is forced into sex by the most grotesque ham beast, and I've heard stories about this, that are actually really harrowing.
Well, underage boys have been
underage boys,
ham
but
beasts.
even when, and I don't even mean, like, I don't, like, when I say ham beast, I don't necessarily mean physical. I mean that they are an awful human being.
They would be. They're raping kids.
But there have been adult men. Like, I remember this one Reddit story, and it still bothers me today, where he ended up being sexually assaulted by a woman because he passed out in like the coat room of a friend and woke up with her on top of him, and he tried to push her off, but he was, incapacitated. And his friends like laugh at him. And then later on, he finds out she got pregnant. He gets sued for child support. Baby's his. And he has to make nice with the woman who raped him for something like 5 years. So he had to plaster on a smile and do what she wanted for 5 years. Help her build furniture, help her renovate, do things around the house and smile and wait. And eventually, because she's a rapist, she screwed up with her kid. Because get this, rapists aren't the most moral or nice or, good parents. They don't make very good parents. So eventually she screwed up enough, he could sue for custody and get his child out of the clutches of a rapist. Think about that. 5 years he had to do that. He had to wait and just swallow whatever unbelievably ugly crap a rapist threw at him until she fucked up enough that he could get his kid from her. And that wasn't a given. That's the other thing. Female rapists, they get custody, they get the money, they get to extort whatever they want out of their victims, and nobody's correcting it. Let's correct that. Let's just make it so guys don't have to go through that. How about that? That would be a men's rights issue. And maybe you might be right that this feminist found out about the paper abortion thing and she's like, oh, this is men's rights. Well, like, actually making it so that men had the ability to do this probably would start to get women to think more carefully about who they have sex with, honestly. But until that happens, is it really fair? Of course, they don't care about fair. That's the problem. Is it really fair that men can't even walk away from their responsibilities as a parent when they're raped? Or when they're a boy and they're like 11 and raped by a 37-year-old woman? They can't do that. Is that fair? Could we start to correct those injustices? And to call this like men's rights, well, okay, let's just keep going.
Yeah, so I got a Rumble rant from OIC who gives us $1 and says, "Sup, Reed's t-shirt. Is this a parody video? Pose law fulfilled once again." The t-shirt says, "Husbands and fathers are beta males. Hashtag pro-choice men." So again, this is a PSA written by a woman. I'm almost certain of it, and a feminist woman. In fact, one of those sewing circle feminist women that pretend to be trad so that they can infiltrate and basically inflict gyocentrism on that part of, and subvert this part of the internet or this part of the population. And the only people who benefit are the women who watch it, because they just get to feel good about themselves. Because again, men who want to be fathers, they don't need this, and men who have no interest in being fathers and are going to use women sexually, they're not going to listen to this. So you're wasting your time, right? This isn't for men. It won't work. Like it's the men who don't need convincing are already not convinced. You know? So but anyway. Okay, so let's listen to more.
I deserve to enjoy sex without commitment.
Her body, her problem. Get it? It's a joke. Get it?
Marriage or parenthood.
It's ridiculous to think that just because I'm the father, I'm expected to be a dad.
It's her body, and it's her choice. So don't be asking me for anything.
And look, I'm a caring guy. If I get a girl pregnant and then abandon her, I don't want to leave her alone with the kid, especially if she might chase me down for child support.
I deserve not to be
See, like seriously, this is ridiculous. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
shackled by kids to a woman my age. So when she gets older, I can upgrade to a younger model.
Guys, we're forgetting that abortion is mainly about a man's sexual freedom.
A woman's sex drive is far more tied to commitment and procreation than a man's.
That's why women's sexuality scares me. Women.
Yeah, right. Wait, so again, see, this is how you know it's written by a woman. This is how you know. They're like, oh, a man's sexual freedom. Men don't really have access to women in the same way that women have access to men. That's just a fact. Like that's the reason why. What is it? The saying: a key that opens many locks is a master key, but a lock that can be opened by any key is just a shitty lock. It's because like women can basically have sex whenever they want as long as they're willing to lower their standards enough. It doesn't matter what they look like. Men that like, so like the I guess what I'm saying is that this is something that only a woman who is post sexual revolution feminist could believe about men, because this is the inverse of reality. Like what men can go around sleeping with this many women? What percentage of the male population could be like this promiscuous? Like, really think about that. It's probably a very small number.
Well, but here's the thing. Okay, so the only system in which the average man has a shot at having sex is monogamy.
Yeah.
Right. So what does that say about women, right? And their options, and whether or not, like, and the thing is that a monogamy apparently has to be enforced on women by patriarchy. Otherwise, or quote unquote patriarchy, or at least a more Christian or patriarchy, like quote unquote. But it has to be enforced on women culturally. Otherwise, it seems like women migrate towards gynocentrism, or not gynocentrism, but polygyny, sharing a man. And that's like, what does that say about women's sexuality? Does it say that they want commitment? No, because if they wanted commitment, nothing would have changed when their sexuality was liberated. They'd still be pairing up with their looks match and having kids and all the thing, right? So now that we've liberated women's sexuality, we have found out what women want. And increasingly, what women appear to want is men who are more attractive than them. They will take those men without any commitment, any terms of commitment. And I'm not sure why we were so surprised by this. Like, women want no strings attached sex with more attractive members of the opposite sex. And everybody was shocked that when we take away all of the expectations put on women that they control their sexuality and that they put it to the service of actually producing a society that works. When we take away all of that, women want to have sex with no strings attached sex with members of the opposite sex that they are more attractive than them. Why were we shocked? This is my question. Why were we shocked? Why was this shocking to us? And why is it that, I hate to say it, okay, these conservative people, maybe different than other traditionalists or whatever, why were they shocked that this is the outcome? Because I remember, and this is where the genesis of a lot of my criticizing of conservatives as well as feminists come from. I remember a long time, like 20 years ago, this is well before what was happening today. I had a checkup went to the doctor's office, and I picked up a magazine that was put out by a Christian group, and they were talking about hookup culture. And I read the article, and of course it was like, this is all about benefiting men, and men get the most out of this, and men are exploiting women, and all of the sexual exploitation and the negative things like abortion and other stuff and child abandonment and all this stuff, and all of it was men to blame, men to blame, men to blame. And I read this, I'm like, okay, all right, well. And then I went to my university, and I go to, like, I'm walking through the women's studies department, and I see a feminist article on the hookup culture. I'm like, okay, I'll see what they have to say. Exactly the same thing. Men are getting the best of it. They're exploiting women. Men are to blame for everything. And women are getting the worst of it. And I'm like, are they really though? But what really struck me is it was exactly the same. So I know that you said originally, this is infiltration by feminists, but I think there is a strain of this kind of suspicion of male sexuality, even in the conservatives, even separate from feminism. And that presents these issues as being men are to blame, men benefit, women are being exploited, women aren't benefiting, women are being hoodwinked. No one is hoodwinking women. No one. It's that Christians,
Oh, Allison's thing dropped.
off of
Allison,
your
your
daughter.
camera.
Okay.
Your camera froze.
Oh, for
What?
God.
Oh, no, you're fine now. You're fine now.
Okay, when you take the sexual expectations off of your daughters, they are horny monsters just like your sons. And you would think that some stuff in the Bible would indicate that this is the case, but apparently we forgot that there was a bit of a lesson there. But apparently we forgot that in favor of pretending that teenage girls aren't hormone-addled, lustful little monsters, that we just decide, and that if you do not expect women to grow up and make adult sexual choices, the choices that they will make is no strings attached sex with far more attractive members of the opposite sex that they could ever hope to get to settle down. And that's just the way it is. It shouldn't shock anyone. It shouldn't shock anyone. But this is why in the past we had these expectations of women, these expectations of chastity on women, because when you don't have them, and we understand this, like when we talk about teenage boys, right? Is anybody shocked? Like if like we took the average teenage boy from our society and he woke up on an island of I don't know, the hot Amazons who all want to have sex with him, no strings attached. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think he's going to do? Well, I mean, if he's a Christian, like extremely Christian, he might say no, thank you. But for the most part, if he isn't, what is he going to do? Why do you think women are any different? When you take those expectations, that's why we put the expectations on men and boys. Why do you think women are any different? You take the expectations off, what do? They go hog wild. Right? They live out their instincts. They live out their pheromones. They live out their base animal brain. This should not have surprised anyone. This should not have surprised anyone. Okay, if it wouldn't surprise you if we did this for men and boys, it shouldn't surprise you when we do it for women and girls. We thought that we were preventing some kind of holy spiritual utopia by telling, like taking the horny 18-year-old girl and bonking her on the head and saying, wait till marriage, bonk, stop it. We thought, if she gets to make her own choices, it'll be a utopia. No, it's just a sexual nightmare of increasingly, circling the drain. And it was always going to be that way because teenage girls are not better than teenage boys. And if I could do anything, well, there's a lot of things I would do, but this is one of them. I would get people to realize that on a fundamental level. Teenage girls are exploitative. They are mean. They are cruel. They engage in violence. They engage in sexual assault. They are driven by their hormones in every way that a teenage boy is. They are vile little monsters that also need to be told to behave and bonked when they are horny, right? There is no cute little angel girl there. It's all evil until it is held to some kind of standard. Oh boy, I think we got our channel just kicked off YouTube.
No, it's all right. Nah, we're still here. We're fine.
Yeah.
All right, let me finish this off really quick.
We need to submit to a pro-choice man's view of sex.
We need to make women understand that when they become pregnant, they're not really women anymore.
I'm not really interested in mothers, except my own, because she pays all my bills.
Without abortion,
And he's getting
I would have had
This is like more, it's like a weird kind of shaming. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know. Like, even if these, let's say that these were, because like pro-choice men, if they like really feel strongly about that position, they tend to be feminist men too. So you'd be attacking feminist men, which even then I would say is unfair, even if I, find that I disagree with feminist men on a lot of stuff, particularly their worldview. But I don't think this is fair, because again, the men can have any opinion they want. It really doesn't matter, because women ultimately make the choice. So what are we even doing? Unless, again, this ad is made for women. And I bet the comments that you want to look at were probably written by women.
to get a job.
Abortion has allowed my girlfriend to chase her dreams of working 60 hours a week to pay for our bills, while I stay home and chase my dream of becoming a professional gamer, comedian, and social media influencer.
Why does she need me to take care of her and the kid anyway?
Well, isn't it weird that they were in the first video talking about how cool it was that a girl had an entrepreneurial spirit, but in this video, working 60 hours a week is bad?
Considering that you are going to be working 60 hours a week if you have an entrepreneurial spirit. It's inconsistent bullshit.
Of course. Yeah, because it's emotional. That's the only thing. That's all. That's it. That's what I'm saying. This isn't for men.
It's the government's job to do that.
The role of the government is to make my irresponsible lifestyle sustainable.
Abortions keep my girl's body.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, because the government gives men money. Did you guys know that? The welfare state, that's for men who don't want to father their children.
Right. Stretch marks? Yeah.
If I had to take care of a kid, I never would have been able to get my Tesla. My Tesla is my baby.
The other side will point out that abortion...
Again, we hate Elon Musk now, right? When did this come out? 3 years ago? Okay, well, yeah. I mean...
That was about when he was making noise about purchasing Twitter?
Yeah. Look, come on now, guys. Okay.
Kills a human being. But my right to impregnate a woman and then leave her in the dust outweighs the baby's right to life.
Women need the right to abortion because men deserve it.
I deserve a woman's right to abortion.
I deserve
what's really
a woman's
interesting
right to
about this?
abortion.
Is they're basically using anything benefiting men as a way of condemning pro-choice. Like, if it benefits men, that it in and of itself is a bad thing.
Condemnation, yes.
Yeah. All you have to do is show that it benefits men, and then everybody be like, oh my God, we can't do that. It benefits men. How horrible. What a world, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll bite us in the ass eventually. This idea, the fact that we find it morally abhorrent to actually recognize situations that men might need a benefit, or even that men benefit in some way. If we can actually condemn something by simply saying, hey, it benefits men, and then everybody's like, destroy it. I wonder if that'll bite us in the ass, considering that we rely on men for so much in our society.
I wonder.
No, actually it has. Think of Birmingham. We had to, they had to pay men more, or it wasn't even that they paid men more. It was that men were more likely to take jobs as trash collectors, and they had to pay trash collectors more to collect trash because it's not a fun job relative to jobs where women were, there were, carers and cooks, which they paid less because more people were willing to do them because they're not disgusting and they don't have a social stigma attached. And because they paid trash collectors more, and trash collectors were more likely to be men, that became some benefit that men made unfairly. And they justified slashing the men's wages to give more money to the women, even though somehow carers and cooks being more women was not itself a bias against men. And now they don't, now they're swamped with rats and garbage in Birmingham because nobody wants to pick up the trash. Oh boy, that is literally men potentially benefit from something. We have to destroy that thing. Oh shit, that was trash collecting we just destroyed. Huh. I guess we're gonna have to enjoy, the plague with all the rats. Okay, we have to learn to become plague enjoyers. We're in our plague era. We're
right.
Plague arc. Our dying of
Reserve a woman's right to abortion.
Abortion is not really about what women want, and it never has been.
Abortion is about men.
Pro-choice men.
So, ladies, thanks for marching. Because you're not really marching for yourselves. You're marching for us.
Thanks for being obedient and submissive to what we want.
Abortion rights are pro-choice men's rights.
Oh God, dude, this is the worst. This is worst. Okay.
But you see how they're using the whole narrative, like
Yeah, no, I know. They're
literally
basically
using obedience and submission to men as a way of anti-selling something to women. Like, so you are being obedient and submissive to pro-choice men by being pro-choice. You're being submissive to men's rights. You're benefiting men. God, like, doesn't that in the reverse really say something about women? Right? If you actually listen to men, that's really what submissive means in this context. They're just turning it into something that women seem to find sexually attractive, which is being dominated. But it's, if you listen to men, this position makes you have to listen to men. This position tricks you into benefiting men. This position tricks you into agreeing with men's leadership, and they're using that to try to sell women on the opposite position. Doesn't that say something about women's mentality?
yes.
And really, like, that's an interesting position to take for a bunch of supposed conservatives. I think you might be right here.
I'm fairly certain this is written by a woman for women. And because it sounds like the end potential outcome of this would be like a pro-life message, a lot of people just miss it. That just goes right over their heads.
Abortion rights are pro-choice men's rights.
Abortion rights are pro-choice men's rights.
Abortion rights are pro-choice men's rights.
At one time, I even drove my girl down to the clinic for her abortion. Because I'm a gentleman. And I make sacrifices like that for women.
I don't know what to say. Literally, all you do to make women hate something is say that men benefit.
Yeah.
Good Lord. What does that say about women, really? And to think that really the reason why women are getting abortions is they just don't want to assume responsibility for another human being. Seems like telling women, hey, you might inadvertently be benefiting another human being by your choice there. That might not be the way to go. Maybe we should have a narrative of women taking responsibility for the consequences of their actions. No, we can't do that. That's only for men. That's man talk. All right. So the one that I wanted to point out, the comment. Yes, it is. I found it. Art Horse 6835. If you can find Art Horse 6835.
Yeah, I got it right here. This is really pretty mild, actually. I volunteered at pregnancy resource centers for over 22 years and have heard much worse than this. But still, this is excellent satire / reality. Well done, live action. Well done. I've heard. I guess he believed women. That's all that matters, right?
Okay, so for some reason, we're getting a lot of failed attempts.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's from an individual. I'm going to say his name is
Oh,
Tyler.
someone's trying to send something through.
Yeah,
Is
someone's
that what
trying
you
to
mean?
send something through. Yeah, you're having some difficulty there, Tyler. So,
Wait,
maybe
don't like because if you're like sitting multiple times, it might go through multiple times when it does go
no,
through.
it's just I'm not sure what it's doing, but maybe you might be getting a flag on your payment processor. But yeah, that's actually the responses to this dude that's really freaking interesting. Or actually probably isn't a dude, eh? This is probably a woman. Art Horse, yeah. Or yeah, Art Horse. This is really pretty mild. Actually, I've encountered at pregnancy resources centers for only 22 years, and I've heard much worse than this. But still, this is an excellent satire reality. Well done. Live action, well done. Do women have to have any kind of excuse for engaging in this behavior? No. So why so much condemnation for men? Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I wanted to go down into the responses because there at some point it actually destroys the argument being presented by this video.
Okay.
Okay.
The responses to this comment.
Yes, the first one. If you
I got it right here. I'm looking at it.
Koch.
Koch 2370 says, "Yeah, this really makes me want to keep my child. These are exactly the kind of men I'd want to be tied to for the rest of my life." Way to go, live action.
Yes.
Is that
yeah.
sarcasm?
I don't. I think it is sarcasm, but I think it's really revealing, guys.
Mhm.
And this is the issue. And and people pop in and say, "Oh, well, you don't."
If you're worried about getting pregnant, then you probably shouldn't have sex. Wow,
Yeah,
what
I'm
is
right
that?
there. But
It's a
then
novel idea. Go ahead.
that's expecting women to take responsibility. That
Mhm.
woman wants to be able to have sex. Like she wouldn't make this comment unless she was willing to have sex with these men. And I mean, some of them are
Yeah.
pretty attractive, right? I didn't take a close look, but I
They're
assume
supposed to be attractive. They're the same guys from the
yeah,
first vid with their shirts off. Again, likely written by a woman for women.
yeah. So these are presumably men that this woman finds attractive. So she wants to have sex with them. She just doesn't want to have a child with them because, again, she is a horny beast. And like any human being with their sexuality completely allowed to go wherever it wants, she wants to have sex with these men and not have to deal with the consequences. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, and it's right there in that. And that is the problem with this rhetoric. It doesn't address that fact. These men who are having sex with these women, why are they having sex with these women? Because women find them attractive. And they're not duplicitous. They're not pretending. These women are having sex with them because they want to, right? And they don't want to have a child with them because men who are attractive to women are often not the type of men that you want to have a kid with. And we see this statistically. Women are attracted to sociopaths. Let's just be honest here. They are attracted to the sociopathic personality style. And women can say things like, "Oh, he was faking," and no, that is inherent to sociopaths. You just like it. And the fact is that it's the same man who has that personality style that you find so charming that also kicks you to the curb when he's done with you. Right? He just sees you in terms of what he wants. That's what probably part of what made you attracted to him. And the shy, awkward, or sort of stiff guy that you think is sort of gross and creepy, well, he's not a sociopath. He doesn't have the suave personality style. Okay? He doesn't have the predatorial personality style. So women are attracted to men who are like this, who just see them in terms of what they can get out of them. Because those men have a very attractive personality style. It's part of the package. And then you add in them being physically attractive, which probably many of them are because they want to be able to, engage or have as much variety as they like, but they don't have to be. It's the sociopathic personality style that the women find attractive. And then you have this situation where the men who women are attracted to are the last type of man that they want to have a child with. I mean, or more they do. And then they end up being in a situation where they're holding the entire bag because they got taken in by a faker. And it's not, sorry, they didn't get taken in by a faker. They got taken in by a brightly colored poisonous animal, right? And societies that functioned actually told women, hey, don't get taken in by brightly colored poisonous animals. Try to look past that to issues of character, issues of stability, issues of patience and virtue and ethics, and try to find men who are like that, because maybe they're not as attractive, but you will actually have a more decent outcome. But that's not what the case now. Now we've constructed a situation where women can freely go after the sociopaths that they're attracted to and have no consequences. And they're going to choose that. And what are you going to do about it, pro-choice people? You're going to continue to blame men? The sociopaths do not care. like Brian was saying, these guys are not watching this, nor do they give a crap. Right? And also, when women watch this and they're pro-choice, they're going to be like Koch 2370. Well, but why would I want to have a child with these guys? You are just, to these women, you have just created a pro-choice ad.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're saying, oh, these are attractive guys. I'd love to smash, but why would I want to have a child with them? Why would I want to take any responsibility for the consequences of my sexual behavior with these men? This is a pro-choice ad to me.
Yep.
Okay. And then the Remington Trip says, Coach, if you are worried about getting pregnant, you could not have sex, just an idea. Yeah, but you've already precluded making women take responsibility by saying it's men deceiving them somehow. Right? This is your thesis. Men are deceiving women into being abortion-happy sluts by being so hot and sexy, but not being good to have children with. Right? Now you're saying, well, you could just not have sex. Well, that would require responsible women. That would require the bonk stick for the teenage girls. But you want to see teenage girls as angelic, not filthy little demons. Sorry, maybe I'm being a little bit too negative towards teenagers.
No, I mean,
but it's
fine.
like you don't want to hold them responsible for their sexual choices because you want to see them as like little Mother Marys. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're sinners. No offense. I mean, they use the Christian rhetoric. This is why everybody is a sinner, because you're not supposed to start idolizing your teenage girls as angels or Mother Mary. They are horny little rats and they need to be controlled. Otherwise they become this. No, that's what we need. We need the teenage girls are horny little rats religion. Oh, and yeah, so what if this is misogynist? This is misogynist. I'm not saying that teenage boys aren't also horny little rats. Okay? I'm just saying that teenage girls are. How is that misogynist? If you're attached to this idea that women are like somehow better than men, they're not. Absolutely 100% women are not better than men. Okay. Did you want to go through more of these comments? Because I think they're really enlightening.
Well, I mean, let me see. Like a few more minutes. You mean the response to this thread or another comment completely?
No, let's just keep to this thread because there's too many rabbit holes in this.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, they're just asking this guy Art Horse, who said, that they heard stories. But the thing is that I kind of dismiss that out, like right out, because they're saying they heard stories. So basically, women have come into abortion clinics and told the abortionist or whoever is going to perform the abortion or whatever, the front desk people, that, essentially they were coerced. And we're just supposed to assume those women are telling the truth. Like, do women lie because they're potentially ashamed? I think so. So I can't really take any of this at face value. But again, this is like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it says, Art Horse 6835. This is really pretty mild, actually. I volunteered at pregnancy resource centers for over 22 years and have heard much worse than this. So what you are saying is that you have either heard this from people at the clinics, or you've heard it from some women who have come into the clinics that men were doing this to them. I'm sorry, but unless the guy came in with a gun to her head and demanded that she get an abortion, that's probably a lie. And that the woman is ashamed that she's getting an abortion, and so she's lying about what pushed her to come there for the abortion. I mean, like, that's what I'm sorry, because you, at the end of the day, like, women do not get pregnant out of nowhere. They have to literally take steps to get pregnant. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And, and we're supposed to do, like, it's a really short drop from it takes two to tango to it's men's fault, actually. So, like, I won't even accept the it takes two to tango argument, because I know it gets used to just blame men anyway. At the end of the day, women choose this. Like, I mean, I've been with women, I've never gotten any pregnant because we were careful, So it's like this is like, I'm sorry, but it's just an excuse. So when Art Horse 6835 says, I've heard much worse than this, what they're saying is, yes, this is true. Men are this bad, and then women are victims. And it's just not the case. Like, I'm sorry, but a woman does not come to an abortion clinic because of immaculate conception. It's because it's, so yeah, it's just and so, like, on this space, some people say, can you share some of the things you've heard? Again, pointless, because no matter what Art Horse 6835 responds with, which, by the way, they just give some vague stuff. Like, here, one gal came in and told me that when her boyfriend found out she was pregnant, he insisted she have an abortion. Take it like a woman, he yelled at her. I almost couldn't believe it. Again, this is a person relaying secondhand information. A woman came in and told me that her boyfriend yelled at her to get an abortion. Like, I mean, like, why should we believe that? I'm sorry, but why? Like, just
what about the other side? What about the other side? Like, there is actually people who work in abortion clinics who talk about the men, and the men are concerned, or they're upset that the abortion is happening, or they're really stressed out, or after the abortion happens, that they have feelings of grief, and that they, like, the whole process of pregnancy impacts men significantly too. And yeah, there are some men who would rather her have an abortion than, give up their lifestyle. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe if you're having reproductive sex with men, unprotected sex with men, you should do that in a long-term relationship. Just a thought. But there's also men who are devastated by abortion, and that's not even, Art Horse is not even talking about that. So I'm guessing that she is ideologically motivated in what she's sharing. And
I mean, I guess if you want to end, so I mean, not that I'm taking their side, but the truth is that if the goal is simply to end abortion, the only way you're going to get people to respond to it is if you make women the victims of abortion. That's not even the children being victims, like the unborn themselves being victims, is enough to motivate people, as it is to say, well, the women will be harmed by this, which I think is what so, like, this, I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying that if it's all about the ends justifies the means, then you could perhaps tap into gynocentrism as a means to, like, get the result that you want, which is fewer abortions. But again, I don't think it's effective, and I don't think it's correct.
Look at what this pro-life woman is saying. You just continue on down, like Kellyanne. Well, it's satire for one, and yes, it's best to stay away from these men altogether. Problem solved. At Coach, I'm good, thanks. This is a terribly unconvincing ad, though, and that's the point. Yeah. She's fine with the situation. She feels it benefits her, and it does. You're not going to convince pro-life, pro-choice women this way to become pro-life, because that means they have to stop having sex with men that they don't want commitment with in the first place. Let's be honest. Okay, and Joe Schmo says at Koch 2370. Either way, that Koch is the woman who's like, but what if I want to have sex with these men and I don't want to have children with them? Either way, basically, that's what she's saying. Abortion is not for women. It treats women like they are broken when they are pregnant, and his toy needs to be fixed so the men can keep having sex without any consequences. How many men are actually like that versus men who know that this is occurring? First of all, you're talking about a subset of women who are engaging in abortion. Many of the men don't even know that it's happening. They don't even know their fathers. The woman maybe even doesn't even know who impregnated her. But anyway, we're talking about the subset of men who know that they got a woman pregnant, and then a subset of that who don't want her to keep it, who have an opinion and do not want her to keep it. Because there is also a probably larger subset who do want her to keep it and are actually hurt by the fact that she's not going to have a kid with them. What about them? Of course, they don't exist because we have to create a convenient narrative in which men are just pushing this on women. Women aren't doing this against men's will. And yeah, we got to blame men, which means we have to remove all of the men who are actually harmed by this from the picture. Okay, and by keeping a kid, you're not tied down to any man. Plus, you have 9 months to choose if you want to adopt. Okay, yes, but she's not going to do that, right? And then Cobb says, lol, what? By keeping a kid, you're not tied down to any man? You clearly have no idea what child custody situations are like. Do you? Actually, Conch doesn't. Almost all fathers get some form of custody or visitation, as most should. You absolutely are tied for that man for life. No, actually, Conch, you can get around that fairly easily. Kosh, yeah, you're very right. At least now that you're aware, better to be responsible and disciplined to yourself to avoid being tied to these kinds of men. Okay, right there, we have seen our argument. Okay, if you give men more custody rights, women are more careful in who they choose to get pregnant by. That is a better approach. You want to get rid of divorce? Create a automatic presumption of joint custody. Or you want to reduce divorce? You want to reduce abortion? I don't know if you really can at this point. Heal the black family, I guess. And that's the other thing. This really isn't identifying where this abortion is really taking place. Okay.
No.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that this pro-choice woman who I think that this ad was aimed at to try to change her mind, yeah, her mind isn't changed. Right? That would require her to take responsibility for her sexual choices, and that's the point. She doesn't want to. She wants to have sex with men she finds attractive. At some level, she must realize, at some point, these women must realize that the men that they find attractive are not the men who are good to have children with. But they still want to have sex with men they find attractive because they find them attractive. It's the woman as horny beast principle. And people are so shocked by. Even though, if the situation was that men could have an unlimited supply of attractive women that they could have sex with no consequences, we know that they would do that. Somehow that just doesn't apply to women for some reason. Okay, anyway. Is there anything further you wanted to add, Brian?
No, I think that's good. We go for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
What?
I said I only wanted to go for an hour, but I guess that didn't happen. Let's see what's going
on.
Ship
has sailed.
Yeah, it looks like
special chat.
Nope, special chat. Oh, we do have another. Yeah, okay, we'll do special chat. All right.
No, don't do. No, leave it. Just ignore it.
These two men are misogynists. Yeah, I'm a man. I'm a proud misogynist. Unlike men who deliberately misgender a person because they want to make a rhetorical point. Well, not really a rhetorical point, a sophist point. And then I want to give a thank you to Craig C for putting $25 in the hat. Thank you, Craig C.
Wow.
And I just want to add, guys, feedthebadger.com/support this month. Help us out so that we can continue to bring you this content. I'll see if there's anybody in there. I think Tyler may have given up. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll try again later, maybe.
Yeah, try again later. 1,275 left. So we made a big chunk. We took a big bite out of it. So that's great. Thank you to everybody who helped out. I'll do one last look at this. See if anybody tried again. Nope. All right. So thank you. Thank you for supporting. Thank you to Craig C. Thank you to the Great Indoors. Thank you to Telemnar. And was there one more? Nope. Thank you to you. Great to get a big chunk of that taken out. And again, if you want to join our very generous supporters and making sure that this content can keep going, 10 years, well, actually 12 years and counting, eventually our ship will come in.
Yeah.
Feedthebadger.com/support. Actually, honestly, you guys are our ship. So please continue to be our ship. Feedthebadger.com/support. And I'll hand this back to Brian to take us out.
All right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like. So not the video we watched, the one that you're watching now, which is us watching the video that I don't like, but you reacting to the video we have made for you. So if you like this video, please hit like, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And you'll find links to the original videos in the description of this video. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame. And we will talk to you guys in the next.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.